Good morning, good early afternoon, depending where you are in the country, in the world. Uh, Nice day here in sunny Florida. A little bit windy, but that's why I moved the show to the backyard here, so I wasn't going to get assaulted by the wind. So, Friday, March 31st. Is everyone looking forward to a good weekend? I hope so. I hope you're going to have a great weekend. A lot of things going on. I was on the show last night with Duty Ron's show with Melanie Little, the new podcast YouTube sensation, I'll call her. She's my friend. She's a fantastic guest, an attorney, an actress, a mother of 5 kids, and I think that the audience so far has been extremely receptive to her, very receptive, and because she's good, and she's a great attorney, and she's also she has personality, and Duty Ron asked me if he could steal her from me for an episode. I said sure. I don't control her. If she wants to go on your show, that's fine with me. And so we were on together, and Duty Ron invited me, and we were talking about the West case, Sincere and Classic. We'll use their real names, and how these 2 evil people made these young boys disappear, and there's no doubt they killed them. And that's what we were talking about last night, because the trial just started, and it was just, horrific that this case turned out to be. It's just a horrific case, and the first day of the trial, I don't see anyone in the chat yet. Where is everybody? No one. It's 2 minutes in. People haven't shown up yet. Where is that? They're starting to show up now. Jules, look up the Rose Petal murder in Grenville, South Carolina. Fitz News. There was just something. And I don't believe a lot of the stuff. Something came out on Fox News about there were 2 suspects now in the Stephen Smith case. And Allison BD, good to see you. And they didn't mention Buster Murdoch, but I don't, unless you get it. There's been so many rumors swirling with this. There's some definitely. Different reports pointing to different things. And, until we know the truth, what did SLED uncover at the homicide scene? Remember when SLED investigated the homicide of Paul and Maggie Murdoch? They said they found evidence on the scene that implicated the Murdochs in the Stephen Smith case. So, circumstantial evidence, or do they have hard, solid evidence? And I had spoken about this case a little bit, and again, I'm not trusting, unless we're not boots on the ground investigators, so we have to get our information from a lot of different venues, a lot of different areas. So we couldn't totally just say, oh yes, Buster Murdoch is involved, but there was some things. Shalane Thomason, good day to you too. So there was some, circumstantial evidence that pointed toward that. One of the things I pointed toward also, Jules, I live in South Carolina. SLED, the whole law and no order is criminal to the max here. Wow. We all questioned that during this whole Murdoch thing, how much influence the Murdoch family had over the police there, the courts there, the insurance companies there. Since they were, a lot of their cases, of course, they were all civil cases for the most part. They were suing insurance companies, and so that was very, very suspect. So look, we're going to keep following, of course, the Stephen Smith case. They are going to exhume the body, and there's going to be another autopsy. So, Mary, hello, Mary. Down the road I looked, and there was Mary. Hair of gold and lips like cherries. It's good to touch the green, green grass of home. Every time I hear the name Mary, I say that. Wendy Swain, good Good afternoon, off the cuff champions. Love that. Love that. So, I didn't want to. I'm just going to mention. I'm not going to do a show on this. I'm just going to mention the indictment of Trump, and whether you like Trump or don't like Trump. I just think it's really off the charts that a former president gets indicted for something allegedly he did 8 years ago. It's crazy to me. It really is crazy. And the Republicans now start going after Joe Biden for taking money from his son from China. It's like, is it going to be a tit for tat? Are they going to start impeachment proceedings against Biden for some of the things he's done? Because it seems like they've went after Trump from the minute he was president till 8 years later. I think they're afraid that he's going to run again. And to tell you the truth, I wish Trump wouldn't run again, because I just think it puts our country in upheaval. I think it just is. It's crazy. And I don't want to get into the whole thing, because there's so many. There's two sides to it, and there's a lot of emotion, and there's a lot of craziness. Scott Coulter says, "Go Trump," And some of the things, of course, he does I like. Some of the things he does I don't like. But you could say that about any president, any politician. But the venom coming from the other side is just beyond belief. Mary Brayman, good afternoon. Good afternoon here from Florida. Another beautiful day here in Florida. Just a little bit windy, Wendy Swain is in the chat. So yeah, that case with Sincere and Classic that we covered last night, just a horrific case, And Orange Peel, horrible action for indicting Trump. Scott Coulter, peace, best economy in 50 years. Looks beautiful, cold and rainy in New York. After all, Sergeant Bill, so nice to see you yesterday on duty run. Thank you. It was nice to be on. Sometimes it's good to be a guest. I don't know if you guys know, but to be the host is a lot of work to do besides actually moving the show forward and making the show interesting. But you're also directing it, pulling up videos, deciding who to give the screen to, what questions to ask. There's a lot to do. So when you're just on as a guest, it's so much easier, so much damn easier than being the host. The 2-year-old that's missing looks like the boys. Ice Baby 456, big fan. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I love these coffee with cannons because I can relax a little bit and talk to you guys. Sometimes I get people in the chat that resent the fact that I'll break my chain of thought to talk with someone who's on the screen or someone I interact with. But this is Coffee with Cannon. It's not the same. After all, you need an intern assistant, Sergeant Bill. Someone said that Trump's a criminal and deserves to, but something? So was Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo took $5 million to write a book on the taxpayer's dime while he was the governor of New York. And that case, even though it was brought up as an ethics and money was frozen, it went away. It just went away. I just don't like when there's not fairness on both sides. It's not a level playing field, Nikki Bella, hello, how are you? 71 in the chat, 35 with the thumbs up. MRSR 03, I like you as a person. I love listening to you in your yard. Thank you so much. Today I had to come into the yard, even though they're doing some work here, and they're on lunch. So if they go back and you hear pounding, I got to end the show because they're doing these little parapets they have, and they're actually knocking them down with a jackhammer, and then they're re-cementing them. And it's been a while. It's been probably 2 months they're doing this, and it's very, very annoying. But luckily the birds are being quiet today. That's not always the case. I either get birds, lawnmowers, blowers, or construction workers using a jackhammer. Kathy Dugan, I stand with Trump. That's why, guys, they always tell you, whether it's in a podcast or stand-up comedy, we used to be told, stay away from politics. Because you may lose a person who's one way or the other, and you want everyone to listen to you, or everyone to in the In comedy, you want everyone to get your jokes, and to not, just think this is political, I'm leaving, or that type of thing. So I try to stay. Although, I always mention policing, which is our main thing. Policing, the P in policing stands for politics. There's no entity that is more driven by politics than policing, because policing is an arm of the government, and the government controls policing. And with that, there's a lot of politics in it, yeah, I agree politics causes bad blood. It sure does, what about even when I have like a Thanksgiving or a holiday at my house? My whole other side of the family are Democrats. And I'm like the only conservative sort of. And it's like, the best way to deal with that is don't talk about politics, but they always must bring it up. And I don't like that, let's stop it, leave it. Because, it causes ill feelings, causes ill will. So, Cherry Hill, politics affects, it sure does, man. And, something, it does split people up, it splits people up. One thing I'll just say about politics, it used to be that you could have your opinion and someone else could have theirs and you could have a beer together. Now it's so split that, like, if you think a certain way, one side wants you banished to bogeyland, and the other side, it's just there's no coexisting with each other. That's, well, they always use the word bipartisanship. That went out the window, So, guys, the other thing is the Brian Koberger, the Idaho 4 case, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogen, Zaina Knodel, and Kaylee Gonsalves. I always like to say their name and not refer to them as the Madison Four. There was this issue that came up, and it was called a Brady Giglio issue. And I am no attorney, and I laugh when I see some of the talking heads on TV that are just either law enforcement officers, like FBI agents, and they're talking with great authority on what this Brady Giglio issue is. They have no business. That's not their lane. Get out of the lane. That is for lawyers to talk about. That's who really understands it. Attorneys. And, can you talk about it still? Yeah, but you're not an expert at it. You're totally not an expert at it. In fact, I've heard of Brady. I never heard of Giglio. So this has something to do with, like, withholding evidence, but then it also has something to do with potential corruption. So it's like, is that issue alone, is that going to lose the case for the prosecution? No. Because if there is an officer involved in this case that withheld their evidence or did something corrupt, A, they reported it to the judge, they reported it to the defense, and B, guess what? That officer just basically excluded himself from ever having anything to do with this case again. They're not going to use him. He's not going to testify. That sort of happened with Mark Furman in the OJ case. Remember Mark Furman? They asked him about some racially insensitive statements that he had made, I think to someone that was writing a book, and they actually played them. And that basically disqualified him as a witness on that case because he couldn't, I think he had to take the fifth for the rest of the time he testified, so that the prosecution decided we can't use him, It was just too inflammatory. And it also made the entire department look horrible, look racist. So I was, thinking about trying to do a show on that. And really, that's the venue of attorneys. I could pull Melanie Little on and talk about it, or Joe Murray to talk about it. Guys, everyone's been asking me, why don't you guys have Joe Murray on? I've asked Joe Murray. Joe Murray's law practice is so busy that he actually does not have the time to come on the show. And I've asked him numerous times, and so is Duty Ron. And that's a good thing. He's booming, and maybe it's our little commercial we read all the time for Joe Murray, But he hasn't been able to come on. And I know you guys, he's a fan favorite. He's a podcast crowd favorite. People love Joe Murray. And I just posted on our Patreon 2 episodes, and it's just the audio of it, of Joe Murray coming on our show probably about 3.5 years ago, and he's talking about the incident he had on the police department. And he if you guys don't know the story, it's crazy. Supposedly one of his friends, and I'll cut right to the chase, one of his friends had a problem with a detective in the 10th precinct. Apparently the detective did not treat him right. And I don't know what that exactly meant. So Joe is a cop at the time. I believe it was in the 7th precinct. So so Joe goes to the 10th squad and asks to speak to the detective. He's in uniform. He's in his police uniform. So he talks to the detective in a room, and it gets heated. And apparently, I forget the exact thing. Joe claims, or his story is, that the detective took a swing at him. Now, Joe is probably about 220, 225 pounds, and he's on the PBA boxing team. He hits the detective with a left hook and breaks his jaw in 3 different places. Not good, right? So the chief of detectives wants Joe Murray arrested, and he wants him to go through central booking in his uniform. And he gets arrested. On duty, he gets arrested for assault. I don't know if it was 2 or 1. And they want him to go to jail. They want him to go to prison. So he goes down to Manhattan Central Booking, and he has a PBA delegate with him. And he goes, "You're not going through in your uniform. Change your clothes." So he changes his clothes, and now the job wants a piece of Joe. They want him fired. They want him this. They want him that. So Joe really feels that it was self-defense. So Mary Michael, I was here, but now I'm gone. I leave this message to linger on. So getting back to Joe Murray. So Joe has the whole world against him. So he says he very much feels that, Pablo Sakata, good to see you. He very much feels that it was self-defense. So he goes and he testifies before the grand jury against his counsel's advice. He testifies in front of the grand jury. The grand jury believes him and does not indict him for anything, believes it was self-defense. The criminal part of it's over. No indictment, boom, that's over. But guess what? Now there's a civil case. And now Joe goes to some other place. He's transferred, goes to some other place. I think it was Health Services. And the department is going, the chief of detectives wants his ass. Everywhere he goes, bosses are writing him up. So they're looking to try to fire him, MRSR, it's your daughter's birthday Sunday. Congrats. Wish her a happy birthday from Police Off the Cuff. So anyway, now he's got to deal with the police department. And the civil case happens. So the civil case is, the detective is suing him for, I don't know what the dollar amount is, but Joe has no more money. So he can't afford an attorney. So he tells the judge, he says, "Your Honor, I have to represent myself. I can't afford it." He goes, that old expression, someone who represents themselves, and I don't know the exact terminology, has an idiot for a client. So Joe represents himself and apparently does an amazing job. He's not a lawyer. He doesn't even have college yet. And he beats that case too. He beats the case. He beats the civil case. But now he knows, I got to get off the police department because they are coming after me with a vengeance. They want a piece of my ass. So at 15 years, he vests out. And he goes, I don't know how he did this. He goes to college, gets an undergraduate degree, and then goes to law school and becomes a lawyer. That's the story he tells. So if you're on our Patreon, listen to Joe Murray. And I think it's entitled Joe Murray, Future Queens DA, Litigator Against Conor McGregor. He was the one who represented the the UFC fighter who sustained glass in his eye when Conor McGregor threw a barrier through the bus a window and hurt this guy. And Joe Murray represented the UFC fighter. Yeah, Peter Pranza, Joe Murray, they poked the bear. Big mistake. Yes, exactly. They poked the bear. And now he's a great attorney. But he lived through that. He just, when he represented himself on the civil case, the judge said, "You're a hell of a lawyer." He goes, "You should become a lawyer." He goes, "You did a fabulous job." He goes, "Thank you." And that's what he did. He went to law school. And the rest is history. Now he has a booming law practice. And, Joe is a big, lovable teddy bear. But as Lieutenant Pete said, don't poke that teddy bear because he'll turn into a grizzly, So that's the Joe Murray story. So if you're on our Patreon, you can listen to that. Or you can go on to Spotify. It's one of the earlier, I don't have the exact number of the episode, but it was really an interesting episode. 114 in the chat, 71 with the thumbs up. Guys, please make comments, give us a thumbs up. That's what gets YouTube to move on these things. The other night when we did the show about the Tennessee shooting, we did the show about that. YouTube, of course, demonetizes it. I just have no idea why they do that. But if you cover something that they deem unadvertiser friendly, is what they say, they demonetize it. So I thought it was important to cover it anyway, and I knew we were going to get demonetized, but I just said, we got to cover this. It's a big story. And those officers on the case and the police department, the Nashville, Tennessee Metro Police Department, did an unbelievable job. Measy Mom, finally catching you live again, Supreme Commander. Thank you so much. I don't always hear the name Supreme Commander that much anymore. Not everyone knows about it, but that's good. I'm glad we have some people in the chat that do. Guys, let's get those thumbs up and equal it out. 113.78. What's in the Florida fishing report? Angel Dunmeyer, welcome to the bucket. Thank you so much for joining. You know something? Ashamedly, I haven't fished since I've been here. Because I think really for me to go fishing, and I love fishing, I need someone to go with me. I don't have anyone that, thank you for just joining Patreon. Thank you so much. Kelly Ward, hello from Melbourne, Australia. Isn't that amazing? They demonetize everyone who broadcasts the video. Yeah, they not only did they demonetize KH Walker, they hit you with a copyright strike. Not a strike, but they hit you with a copyright because a strike is very serious. It's not a strike. But Daniel Fowle, no, I'm going back, guys, to up north. I intend to drive back the last 2 days of April. I love it here, and I want to spend every winter here. But I also love my wife, and I love my home up north. So I'm going to go back. I came down here for a lot of reasons. I had some health issues, and I wanted to get back in shape and everything. And I didn't want to deal with it with another New York winter. So that's why I came down here. And it's just, if you guys haven't been down to southeast Florida, it's just, and specifically Jupiter is just incredibly beautiful. Martha Miner just joining. Good afternoon, Bill. How are you? Heather Whatever is in the chat. Good to see all you guys. So yeah, we're sort of looking for, we want to hear like really pertinent information before we do any more coverage on the Brian Kohberger and the Idaho, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Zaina Knodel, and Kaylee Gonsalves. We don't just want to do a show and create stuff. I see some of the, the TV stuff, and they just, they'll do a whole story on nothing. And it's not advancing the story. It's not really doing anything for the audience. Allison BD, welcome to the bucket. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the YouTube family. KH Walker, New York spring is beautiful. It sure is. And I was really happy the other day. My son, who lives in Denver, he just got a good promotion at work. That makes me happy. It always makes you happy when your kids are doing well. My other son Jake is doing unbelievable as a film editor. Well, actually more of a video editor, but he's the one that did our video that opens up our show on YouTube, Police Off the Cuff. My son edited that. I think he did a fantastic job. Some people have told me, not everyone, but a couple of people have told me it's the best intro they've seen on YouTube. And I told my son that. That's a great thing, You got talent, and now he's working on some big things, So you feel good as a parent, and you guys know what I mean when your kids do well, right? You wouldn't be happy if your kids aren't happy, right? Sherry Hill, after all, I mean, you're a great. Well, thank you. It's being a parent is a tough thing too, right? But now, something you think of it. My sons are 27 and 31. You're still their parent, right? You still give them advice, right? Heather, whatever, nice job, great intro indeed. Yeah, my son Jake did a fantastic job on that. You never stop being a parent, no matter what the age of your kids, right? Congrats to you, Sergeant Bill. That shows how they have good parents who taught them well in life. Absolutely. I really think that's true, And guys, Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories, backyard beverage, coffee with Cannon, bitching with Bill. I can't wait to do my first live from my yard again, so you guys could be like, hey, you're back in New York. Live from New York, it's Coffee with Cannon, So yeah, I'm looking forward to going home. Even though I love it here, I really do love it here. But it's, Heather, whatever, my middle son went to school to be a film editor too. That's fantastic. You know what the hardest part of that, Heather, whatever, is? Getting the damn job. My son Jake worked for a whole year for free. Yeah, he didn't get paid. It was like he kept doing internships, even after he was out of college. But you know something? I could never have done that when I grew up, because my parents weren't able to help support me. We were able to help support Jake to get through that horrible year. And now, it paid dividends. But you know what I'm talking about. It's, you always hear people, though, that make it somehow in life, and they're saying, I lived in my car for 6 months. You're full of shit. I mean, people make it up. Oh, it was so tough. I had cardboard in my shoes with holes in my shoes. And in 2 degrees below zero, I walked to school 2 miles. We've all heard those stories, right? Some people really do have hardship like that, but not as many as pretend they do, Every big actor that makes it says, oh, I was living in my car. Yeah, okay, right. For what, 4 hours, Hugo Stiglitz, hello. Gail Salvatore, good afternoon. Good morning or afternoon, depending where you are in the world. I'm proud to say we have fans, we have subscribers, we have friends from all over the world. Police Off the Cuff, Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitchin' with Bill. It's great to see all you guys. Lieutenant Pete is in the house. Lieutenant Pete and Rachella Pranzo. Dawn Marie, well, that's true. I've heard that cardboard in the shoes. Well, yeah, we've all heard it before, right? Oh, I had cardboard in my shoes. Couldn't afford shoes. Tina Powers, drinking with Bill. Good afternoon. I may actually have a glass of wine this weekend. I haven't had, last Thursday I had 2 glasses of wine. I was out at a fancy dinner at a place called Jeffrey's in Malibu. Oh, when you look at the menu there, you're like, oh my God, I'm glad I'm not paying this bill. It was my wife's uncle's birthday, and he took us all out. But it was, Jeffrey's, I think, was, they shot scenes. Gail Salatori, thank you for the $4.99 super sticker, and I love that. Yeah, so it was, I think it was featured in Ray Donovan. They shot, because it's right on the ocean. I was there, I had lunch there or dinner there one time, and there was dolphins jumping out of the water. I was like, wow, you couldn't make this up. This is beautiful, So anyway, that's the last time I had 2 glasses of wine, and before that, I haven't, weeks before that. So I have this amazing wine. Like, I have $200 bottles of wine from Barnett Vineyards in Napa, and then I have 2 bottles of Maryville, Napa. Also, they're like $65 bottles of wine, and I'm just like, they're sitting on my counter unopened, because I don't want to open up an expensive bottle of wine and have one glass and put the cork back in it, because if you open up a bottle of wine that is that good, you want to drink it with another person and finish it. You don't want to save it because it's too good. And putting the cork back in it's not never going to be the same. So, I'm not opening it unless I have someone to drink it with, right? Gail Salvatore, I'm having wine with my coffee. Well, that's great. I used to love when my coffee was Bailey's Irish Cream, But now I'm supposed to cut down a lot on my alcohol consumption, which I've done. And but you know what happened from quitting drinking that much? You know what? I become an addict. I'm a total Haagen-Dazs, caramel cone, or dulce de leche addict. And in Florida, they have great blueberries, so I have blueberries and dulce de leche. I feel like I'm at an AA meeting, but instead of an AA meeting, this is a Haagen-Dazs anonymous meeting, or an ice cream anonymous meeting. I'm confessing my sins to you guys. Since I cut, my name's Bill, and I'm an ice creamaholic. And since I stopped drinking alcohol steadily, I have now switched to ice cream. This all started when I had AFib, and I had to stop drinking so much, and I substituted ice cream for alcohol, and this is when my problem started. So, but luckily, I'm not, gaining a lot of weight, because I guess when you stop drinking wine, which is a lot of calories, a lot of sugar, yes, Heather, whatever, and substitute it with ice cream, I guess it's not the same thing. It's not as many calories, but I just confessed. Bless me, Father, for I've sinned. It's been 30 years since my last confession. I'm an Haagen-Dazs addict, Father. Son, say 22 Hail Marys and 4 Our Fathers, and you're forgiven. Well, thank you. I don't even know. I haven't been through confession in a lot of years, so I don't even know what they say anymore. Tina Powers says nothing wrong with ice cream. So much flavors to choose from, for sure. Heather whatever finds that funny. Pauline Robb doesn't drink coffee or alcoholic beverages. That's good. If you don't acquire a taste for alcohol, oh my God, I'm going to have to end the show, guys. That's what I was talking about. I can't continue. Thank you, Dawn Marie, for forgiving me. But see, they're working with a jackhammer now, and I thought I could get this show out without them going back doing it, but they just probably got off of lunch, and they're going to be hitting it with the Dr. Pamela Cholette. Carvel, yeah, Carvel's good ice cream too. In Florida, beaching, New York, grilling with police off the cuff. So good to see all you guys. 140 in the chat, 106 with the thumbs up. Just amazing to be here talking to you guys. KH Walker, blend frozen bananas with non-fat yogurt, better than ice cream. Guys, I'm just going to take this in the house for the last few minutes, because I can't listen to that. It's horrible, Let's see. Let's see if it's any quieter. Yeah, I can't. We all right, guys, here? I'll sit at the bar here. I just, it's just so damn loud. I told you they're like jackhammering these things, and it just is pathetically ridiculous. Yeah, folks, click on the thumbs up. Give us a like. Share us with your friends, your family, your friends, your family, your neighbors. Patricia Baylor, good to see you. 128 with the thumbs up, 115, excuse me, 128 in the chat, 115 with the thumbs up. Dawn Marie, so much better. Well, they stopped using it's so loud, it's so ridiculous, but at least it'll muffle it being inside a little bit. But I hated to quit when I wasn't done talking to you guys. So yeah, a lot of stuff going on in the country. I don't know how this is going to end, this whole Trump thing. It's sort of, I don't know. It's sort of an upheaval to the whole country, I think, you know. It seems a lot of people are happy about it, and a lot of people are just like, this is not a good thing, you know, and I don't think it is either, but there are people that are happy about it, you know. Why would you ever be happy about a former president getting arrested, you know? Yeah, I know you could say, well, his conduct, but what happened was 8 years ago. The Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg, doesn't prosecute people with guns or that do armed stick-ups. He doesn't prosecute. But he's going to prosecute a former president for a misdemeanor that happened 8 years ago? I mean, don't get me started. It's just pathetic. It really is pathetic. But that's it. Casey, your kids will always be your babies for sure. That's for sure. Angel, Tina Powers, hey Bill, I got a question for you. Oh my, it went by, Tina, it went by so fast. If you want to resubmit it, I wasn't able to read it. Martha Miner, political move, absolutely. LJ, sharing your social media. It's Diane Krause, good to see you. Always good to see you guys. I wonder if Professor Mike Geary is like a little nervous that we haven't had a show lately. There just hasn't been a really good story to focus on, so I'm just not going to go on the air just to go on the air and do a story like that, you know. I didn't think that the story about the Brady Giglio case with the Brian Koberger thing, I didn't think that was a story that would, you know, that we should cover. I think it was more of a lawyer's thing, you know. So I didn't cover it. Heather, whatever. Tell your son whoever sees that intro is drawn in and then has to watch the show. Yeah, that's. When I go home, I want him to get him to do something else. So I gotta think of what. He's so busy though. Whenever I ask him to do stuff, he's like, "Oh, I can't do it, Dad. I can't do it. I'm busy. I'm working on this commercial, that commercial." So I'm like, "Yeah. Do you remember that I paid for your college education, Jake? Do you remember that?" Miki, I agree, Sergeant. These days, let felonies go out. It's crazy. I'm not a fan of either side. No, it's how do you not, you know, this whole thing where we talk about not prosecuting in New York. There's been robbery first degrees with a gun, and Alvin Bragg, if they don't shoot the person, he'll plea bargain that down to a misdemeanor. Could you imagine what is a B or a C felony being a robbery with a gun, pleading it down to a misdemeanor because you don't want to put this poor fellow in prison for sticking someone up, sticking a gun in someone's face. Nah, we don't want to prosecute that. Let's give them another chance. Let's pay gangs not to shoot each other. That's another brilliant progressive idea. Let's pay gang members, Bloods, Crips, Latin Kings. Let's pay them. Let's call violence interrupters. Let's pay them $100,000 a year to be violence interrupters. Whose idea was that? Yeah. I just could. It's unbelievable the stupidity that they'll get gangbangers and say, "Hey, we're willing to pay you $100,000 a year, but you have to work as a violence interrupter. So when we think gangs are getting ready to shoot each other, you got to go and talk to them because you speak the same language. You're a criminal too. So you're what's known as a violence interrupter." Just absolutely pathetic, you know. Diane Krause, right? I can't get away from the birds or the noise. That's for sure. DreamWorks, yeah. No, look, I don't throw it in my kid's face. I just jokingly say that, like when they're too busy for their dad. I'll be like, "Hey, don't you remember I worked 3 jobs to put you through college? Do you remember that?" I was wondering if you forgot, because every time I ask you to do something for me, you're too busy, you know. So that's life in the fast lane, as they say, right? Guys, this is Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories, Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitchin' with Bill. If you're not subscribed to us, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us the thumbs up, ring that bell, and join us. Become a member of Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. You know, this year is going to be a great year for us. It really is. We're starting to grow. Heather, whatever, I hear my birds outside. I'm glad they survived the winter. So yeah, we're going to have a great year this year. We got all kinds of plans, doing different things, different cases. Dream Wake Forest 25. They remember Sergeant Miller just living their life. No, look, of course they are. Of course, I'm not throwing it in their face. I'm just making a joke out of it, which, you know, parents can do that, right? We can make a joke out of things with our kids. 133 in the chat, 132 with the thumbs up. Wow, that's great, guys. Clean Hill, Cherry Hill loves to hear the birds. Welcome to the bucket. KC, glad you joined. Thank you so much. I got people joining our YouTube channel left and right. Thank you so much, guys. Wendy Swain, my grandmother said the truest things are said in jest. That's true. That's true. Yeah. So you're saying that I want my kids to do me a couple of favors? Yeah, I guess that wouldn't be bad, right? Scott, good afternoon all. Good to see everyone. You know, when you go on different social media, Casey, you love your channel, Bill. Thank you so much. When you go on different social media, like I go on LinkedIn, I don't spend much time on Twitter, maybe Instagram. There's all kinds of different political persuasions. You know, most of LinkedIn is a little bit on the conservative side, but there's a few people on LinkedIn that really are progressives. Detective Phil's in the chat. Look at that. Detective Phil, we had a good lunch the other day in Deerfield Beach, you know, and we had some fun. Most of the time, Phil and I just meet online. We don't, he lives all the way in Brooklyn and I live in Westchester. Driving into the city these days is like, you've never had it, you don't understand what it's like anymore. Everywhere you go, there's either red light cameras or speed cameras. So, and there's no place to park. So unless you got another 50 or 60 bucks to pay for parking, it's like you can't drive into the city. Yeah, Phil left the gun and took the cannolis, you know. I don't know if with that short video we did, guys, I said to him, Phil, the guy who approaches you and tries to arrange a meeting, he's the traitor. And Phil was supposed to say, I know, Pop, I know you told me. Because that's right from The Godfather. Don Corleone said to his son, Michael, the guy who approaches you and tries to arrange a meeting, he's the traitor. And Michael says to Don Corleone, I know, Pop, I know you told me, Pop. I like my wine a little more than I used to. So that's what we were referring to in that little video. And it's funny, when we did that little skit, some guy walked by and he heard that line, he started laughing. He recognized it right away. Most of us in my age bracket, we have practically the whole script of The Godfather, Godfather memorized from watching it so many times. It's funny when you ask kids, even my kids, did you ever watch The Godfather? No. I'm like, I can't believe that. I go, what do you mean you've never watched The Godfather? You got to watch it. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. One of the greatest movies ever made. You know, same thing like a historic movie like Schindler's List. That should be like required watching for the entire world. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. You know, it's like, it's hard to believe. You talk to kids, oh, if you ever watched The Godfather? No. You ever watched The French Connection? No. Unbelievable. Schindler's List is another one, of course. Goodfellas. I mean, I'm listing movies that I love. Goodfellas. What else we got? Goodfellas, French Connection, Bullet with Steve McQueen. I love that movie. From back in the day, as they used to say, right? And of course, all the classics. Godfather, Goodfellas. You know, it's just the French Connection. Yeah, Gene Hackman was fantastic as Popeye Doyle. Casino, Jennifer Bassett. Good to see you. Yeah, I mean, just incredible. Some of those incredible movies. And when you talk to a lot of young people, they haven't watched them. And you go like, well, what are you waiting for? How did you not watch one of the greatest movies? You know, Casablanca, of course, Casablanca. You must remember this. A kiss is but a kiss. A sigh is but a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by. That's one of the famous songs, right? The Deer Hunter, another amazing movie. Amazing movie. And of course, oh, The Raging Bull. You want to talk about a great Martin Scorsese film. That was I think one of the greatest. Give it to Luca Brasi. That's right, Lieutenant Pete. He'll get the job done, right? Kelly Ward, so good to catch you live, but time to go to sleep. It's nearly 4 a.m. Wow. Spilling the tea. Yes, I just did a couple months ago. I did a New York homicide for Oxygen on a case from the 2-3 precinct in Spanish Harlem, a case from 2001, a double murder. Yes, so I did get interviewed, and that's on Oxygen. It's a show called New York Homicide. So has Phil. Phil did a case for Oxygen on New York Homicide. So yeah, well, look, we're hoping that they start throwing us scripts pretty soon. You know, what are they waiting for? You know, Spilling the tea. My dad will be on Snap Sunday. I was on that once too. They flew me to Atlanta. Apocalypse Now, K.H. Walker, that was right. Saving Private Ryan, another fantastic movie. I mean, Spielberg is so damn talented. You know, all of his movies are just incredible. You know, Steven Spielberg. Kim Alliston, that's okay, Kim. We got a lot of noise outside. That's why I moved inside, because the guy's using a damn jackhammer, you know. It's like crazy. Guys, I'm at like 47 minutes, so I'm going to be starting to, you know, we have 144 in the chat and 146 thumbs up. I guess I did my job. I got you guys to put the thumbs up, and then people gave the thumbs up and booked out. Colleen, thank you so much. Dream Wake Forest, I love watching Scarface. You know, I used to think my favorite actor used to be Robert De Niro. And then I started watching a lot of Al Pacino. And I really think Al Pacino is a better actor than Robert De Niro. I just think coming soon, the great show, Dream Team. It's amazing. Look, Don Corleone, thank you for inviting me on the day of the wedding of the daughter. First child, be a masculine child. I already knew the whole script from The Godfather, or some semblance of that, right? May her first child be a masculine child, you know. How about when that guy Abe Vigoda goes to, imagine that. Can't do it, Sal. Sorry. Amazing, right? K.H. Walker met Al Pacino at Starbucks. Al much better than the other one. Yeah, Al Pacino, I think, better than De Niro, better actor, I believe. You know, now De Niro just does crap, and that movie, The Irishman, I thought it was horrible. You know, first of all, use actors that are the proper age for the parts they're playing. Don't try to put 80-year-olds playing, you know, 40-year-olds. It does not work. I don't care what you do cinematography-wise. You can't make an 80-year-old look like a 40-year-old. And that's why I thought The Irishman was, like, not good. Guys, I've been here 49 minutes. Police off the cuff, coffee with Cannon, backyard beverage, bitching with Bill. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you very soon. Have a great day. Bye now.